Good evening, good evening, good evening. It's Max at Lunar Replicas here in the studio. We're trying something a little bit new this time. I'm going to show a little update on what's going on with uh, the Astrovet Endeavor project, a event that we did at the Simeone Museum here in Philadelphia almost a year ago now. Actually, it was in in April of 2023. Geez, I can't believe that's coming up on a year. Um, but now that in the new year, we haven't done a whole lot of updates, so I think it'd be nice to do something tonight. This is live, so if you have any questions or if you have anything you want me to talk about or go back and talk about, um, it's just an evening with Max here at Lunar Replicas. I'm going to check that the stream is working because I'm trying a couple new things actually. There's a new camera, there's a new background, a new everything. Um, let's see. It's live and looking good. Cool. Sounds good. Everything. Oh, cool. All right, everybody. So, hey, Jay, just saw comments. I can see comments come up in the corner here. And of course, feel free to leave comments on. We're going live on Facebook and on YouTube at the same time. I haven't done this in a while, so you'll excuse me. Um, let's do a wrist check. I haven't done one of these in a little bit, but so Omega Speedmaster with, of course, the wrist calendar. As you can see, wrist calendar right there. January 2024. They're incredibly handy. It's just one of those things. Of course, the Forstner Comfit band right there. Focus, focus. It's a new camera, guys. I'm working on it. Anyway. Sapphire Sandwich, of course. So you can see the beautiful 1863 movement in the background on that Speedmaster. Absolutely iconic. Gear check. I'm wearing a Type 1 jacket. Actually, this is from one of our first runs of Type 1 jackets way back 6 years ago now. Whew, time flies. And Lagunitas, not sponsored. It is the best non-alcoholic beer. The IPNA, non-alcoholic, full-flavored, hop-forward Lagunitas IPNA. They drink them in space, I think. I don't know. But delicious. So, I want to talk about Astrovet Endeavor. This has been an incredible project, which has taken me now to Jay Leno's garage. Of course, working more with Al Warden's grandson, Will, and the Warden family, who is incredible. That's sort of an extended family because there are stepkids involved and a lifetime of good memories and great family members there. So they've been awesome. And now sort of the car restoration world also has sort of joined this whole project. Leslie Kino, who you'll see in a moment, helped out at the Simeone Museum. Of course, the Simeone Museum, Harry Hurst and Kevin Kelly and Bill and everybody over at the Simeone has been incredible. If I'm forgetting anybody's name, I apologize. But Simeone has been so cool. And just be a part of that incredible museum. I highly, highly recommend checking it out. I can't share my screen right now for some reason, but I highly recommend checking out the Simeone Foundation, Philadelphia. It's one of the most amazing automotive collections in the world. And it's off the beaten path right here in Philly. You guys like my lights in the background? I'm kind of trying this sort of studio influencer effect. And I got a new 4K camera and stuff like that. So let's see. So we did this event at Simeone Museum, and I put together a slide deck, which was really a sort of a summary of a bunch of different things here, where the history of the car, was forefront. Um, let's see. So again, April 22nd, 2023 was our event, and our speakers were me, Kevin McKay, who's one of the most foremost Corvette repair and restoration guys in the country, and Leslie Kino, who's an antiquarian, but also mostly with furniture. I think actually he does like historic furniture a lot, but he also does cars, and he helped write the book on preservation of historic cars with Dr. Fred Simeone of the Simeone Foundation. One of the key aspects of the Simeone Foundation is that they preserve cars in their existing state. There's not a whole lot of external restoration. They try and keep this is the original paint, this is the original leather, this is the original everything. I mean, even some of the tires on some of the cars in their collection are original. They also drive everything, so mechanically it has to be correct and working. So there's sort of a limit. There's a limit on is it the original rubber seal, or the original oil in the crankcase? Like, so there's sort of a limit. So as long as it's mechanically functional, it can be preserved and restored for mechanical functionality, where cosmetic and originality of components is incredibly important to maintain. So that being said, we have this incredible car that is mostly original from 1971. And we talked about it here. So Lunar Replicas, I just did a little brief thing on Lunar Replicas that we're keeping aerospace history alive, and we connect aerospace and automotive history together now because there's a lot of overlap, especially when it comes to engineering and can-do attitudes and stuff like that. So Apollo and car racing are actually really similar in a lot of ways. And then Al Warden, friend, dearly departed, of course, U.S. Military Academy graduate, year of 1955, and he was a USAF test pilot, Air Force test pilot in the early days of jet test pilots. Became a test pilot trainer, and actually became a trainer overseas in England. Test pilot in England. Sorry, Jesse, I did cut you out of that picture a little bit. This was the template over here cut you out of the picture. I'm sorry. He was the backup command module pilot on Apollo 12, and then the backup crew of 12 became the primary crew of 15. And from July 26th to August 7th, he was in lunar orbit as Dave Scott and Jim Irwin were walking on the surface of the moon. He does still hold the Guinness World Record for most isolated human being ever, which even with Artemis 2 is not going to be broken. They will break, I believe, the Apollo 8 record, or maybe it's Apollo 13 record of the farthest away from Earth. Possibly. So the Astrovets, as we know, there were, because of Apollo 12 and Apollo 15 being the backup crew of one of Apollo, but 15 was the backup crew of Apollo 12. Apollo 12 decided to have 3 custom Corvettes made. Everybody was permitted to have a Corvette or a off-the-shelf General Motors car for $1 a year through Jim Rathman's dealership in Florida. And a lot of them, they just got something off the showroom floor. And I've heard several stories that, Fred Hayes got a sensible car because he had kids. Everybody else had kids too, but a lot of the guys got Corvettes. So Apollo 12, when Apollo 12 came around in 69, the end of 69, they decided to get custom cars, and they got these gold and black custom painted Corvettes. 1969 Corvettes. I believe they were big blocks, but I'm not sure on the Apollo 12 era Corvettes. And then when 15 came up in 71, those guys decided to get custom Corvettes also. They didn't quite like the gold and black, so they got red, white, and blue with a matching stripe down the front and the back trunk and the back deck of the cars there. And you can see it. Actually, they aren't matching stripes. The center stripe is the color of the car, and the left and right stripes are either white and blue or blue and red or white and red. And I have the colors. Actually, this is the 1971 color chart for General Motors. They are Mia Amelia Red, Classic White, and Bridgehampton Blue, in case you wanted to know the actual colors of all three Corvettes from 1971. So Al Warden's car is the 1971 Chevrolet Corvette LS5, which is the big block 454 Corvette. Its production date was February 13th, 1971. It's a T-top coupe in 972 Classic White with leather interior, 390 horsepower, 500 foot-pounds of torque, 4-speed close ratio transmission. As they're screaming in second and third gear. And power brakes, steering, windows, factory air conditioning. It's a standard LS5 Corvette. You can buy this car. You could have just bought this car off the line. It's very well optioned. It has all the options, wood trim on the inside, power windows, everything. The only difference is that it has these stripes on it, and it belonged to an Apollo astronaut. And it was ordered through this program with Jim Rathman in 1971. It also has the PO2 hubcaps and a luggage rack, which were put on at the dealership. You know what's interesting? I forgot I had this over here, but this wonderful model, which I may have just dropped on the floor. I have this wonderful model of the car. If you give me 1 second. Here is, whoops, the hubcap came off. Here is the Astrovet. Luggage rack and everything. So, the condition that we found the car in at Danny Reed's collection, he had found it in Texas and essentially had set outside for a number of years, possibly up to 10 or 15 years. It sat outside. Fortunately, it's Texas and they don't have salt on the roads and it doesn't snow that much. It doesn't quite rain that much anymore either. Paint is peeling and cracked. Some non-original parts. It was driven for a long time. It was unsafe to drive. The brakes didn't work. A number of things didn't work. The headlights didn't work anymore. Pretty much anything that could rust shut did, or at least seize shut. Couldn't get the engine running either. The gas tank had actually been removed and thrown away by accident. It was a reproduction gas tank that was full of rust. Pretty bad shape. But the paint was original. The paint was original, except the front part of the car. We believe there was an accident at some point in the front of the car, and this portion here, what's called the front clip, looks kind of like a horseshoe, which goes from the cowl, which is right in front of the windshield, the cowl, all the way to the nose, not including the hood. The hood is original. But the two fenders here, the wheel arches, there's classic wheel arches that kind of make it look like a Mako shark. They were designed after a Mako shark, the Stingray. This piece is a probably late 70s reproduction. The rest of the car, the entire rest of the car, the T-tops, the doors, the rear here, everything is all original, completely original paint. Everything. Except for the front clip. However, the front clip is part of the history of the car. That accident is part of the history of the car. We realize it happened after the famous owner had the car. but it's been on the car for a number of years. It's been seen at museums and that. So it's the original pieces. Also, we found that if we start replacing body parts like that, blending the original paint with new paint is impossible. And then you have something, you're going to have a hodgepodge of something that's difficult to match. But it's a possibility. The alternative to that is stripping the whole thing and repainting. So everything, again, the engine, the drivetrain, transmission, rear axle, everything is original. Even the spare tire. What we had done by this time was made the car safe to drive. The tires had dry rotted. The tires were not original. The spare tire was original, but the tires that were on the four wheels were from the 80s. And the original factory tires would have been Firestone wide ovals. Now, what's interesting actually about the tires, just getting back to that, this is one of the only pictures we have of this picture on the right is the only picture we have of the car in the time period. And what's interesting about this picture, since they took it on sand in front of the lunar rover here, you can actually see in high resolution scans of this photo, you can see the tire tread in the sand. And if you zoom in over here, you can actually see the profile of this tire on Dave Scott's car. And we assume all three cars had the same tires on them. And if you zoom in on that, you can actually find that the tire is not a Firestone wide oval, which were bias ply tires. They were not radial tires. This is the only tire you could get, the white lettered tire, which was ordered with the car. And I do have record of that. The white lettered tires that were ordered with the car, they would have been Firestone wide oval bias ply tires, which are still made on the original molds. It's very possible that at Jim Rathman's dealership, the tires were replaced with radials because a lot of guys were running radial tires. It was a better ride, safer on the road, safer for racing. And possibly these guys race these cars. I'm not sure, but it's a big engine and it was a fast car. They can really book it. So as of now, we put the Firestone wide oval tires on it. It's correct for factory condition. Brakes and calipers and rotors. There are actually videos of this on YouTube right now of us doing the work or me doing the work just to get things safe and moving down the road. Rear leaf spring, carburetor, spark plugs, all of that stuff. Just getting things ready to go. And the goal of this mission, by the way, this is the original paint. The back side right here where the rear deck, where the brake lights and rear reverse lamps are, is actually in amazing condition. If the rest of the car was in that condition, we could buff this thing and it would look amazing. Unfortunately, the rest of the car is not in that condition, just from sun damage and everything. But yeah, so again, the question was, what do we do? We want to maximize interaction with the public. We want to document all aspects of this project and explain every step and inspire others to preserve and restore history as well. You know, so in this case, it's automotive and aerospace. Now, the question of restoration versus preservation. And we brought in Kevin McKay to talk about restoration. What do you do? Bring it to original factory condition. It's a snapshot in time of 1971. Car should look immaculate. Leslie Kino was in favor of preservation, as is the condition she's in now. It's a time capsule. They're only original once. Once you strip that paint off, you're never getting it back. And you can't do anything about it. It's in the bin. You know, it's trashed at that point. A little bit about Kevin. He is the Corvette hunter. He has found amazing original raced Corvettes that were at Le Mans, at Sebring, at Daytona, all of these things. And he's restored them to essentially original condition. And they look amazing. 1,600 awarded restored cars to date in 40 years almost of doing this. And if you want to look up his shop, it is Corvette Restoration Specialists. I'm sorry, Corvette Repair. And they're out of Long Island, New York. Leslie Kino is a preservationist and television host, longtime appraiser on Antiques Roadshow. He has a twin brother, actually, who does some of these TV hosting things with him. And he is also an award judge at concourse and other car shows around the country. And he did help author The Stewardship of Historically Important Automobiles, co-authored with Fred Simeone. So that was our event. That's basically my portion of this. We open it up to the public to talk about what they would like to see out of this restoration preservation. And I really open it up to say, what do you want to do? What do you think we should do? And overwhelmingly, I think it was 200 or 300 votes came through on Facebook and through the Simeone Foundation. And we were told, essentially, leave the original pieces alone. Don't restore the paint, preserve what's left, preserve the interior, what's left of the interior, and keep it as original as possible without without harming the originality of the esoteric and non-mechanical stuff that people can see from the outside. Mechanically, we can strip it down and restore it to original factory condition because there had been changes, and also there were parts that weren't supposed to be on there, and also parts that were supposed to be on there that weren't there, such as the air conditioning system and the original spring, the original type of spring, the original type of gas tank was not there. So bringing it back to original condition once the body was off, the things that you'll never see but are the heartbeat of this car has been incredible. It is the original engine. The original engine was rebuilt. It's the original transmission. The original transmission was rebuilt. The starter, the alternator, the AC, the headlights, all of these things. A lot of it is already done. The mechanical parts and the body and frame and stuff, the frame and chassis and mechanical drivetrain is actually almost complete. We're going to have a video coming out about that. And it's been a heck of a ride. It is at County Corvette in Westchester, Pennsylvania. And you've seen some other videos. Mike Etling has been the service manager for this and shepherding this project along with Jim Jordan and the other folks, the owner of County Corvette. So it's been incredible. We're going to have a video out pretty soon. I have a year's worth of update to do almost on this. And, that will come out soon, but I wanted to show you guys and talk through the presentation that I made at the Simeone Foundation in April of 23. So, yeah, that's what's going on with Astrovet. A little bit going on with Lunar Replicas. We have a couple of big projects coming up that I have not disclosed yet. We did release the tether hook project, which has been really cool. We have several of those left in stock. The tether hooks. I was down at Houston for the very, very lovely tree ceremony for Walt Cunningham, as well as a meeting, which I'll tell everybody about when that becomes public. Something that we're doing for NASA, which should be pretty cool. Kind of life-changing, but it's a really cool project. I hope you guys enjoy that when that is made public. And got this incredible tour of NASA. I highly recommend. I think you can actually sign up for private tours. You have to do it in advance, and I think there's an ID screen and stuff like that you have to do. But they take you to the neutral buoyancy lab and around, the simulator areas of the International Space Station. There's some amazing things that you can see. Mission control, the restored Apollo mission control, which is literally one floor. They're still using one of the Apollo mission control rooms. They've renovated it to be modern, and then they restored one of them to be in original condition from the Apollo program. So that's incredible. Um, yeah, it's been a crazy 2023. And oh yes, we released um, the varsity jackets finally. Those were really nice. We had a little bit of an issue with some of the snaps on them, but that's being fixed now. Um, the good ones, there are still some that are in stock. They have been tested and corrected. The ones that came back and several that I found also have gone back to get fixed from the Varsity Jacket Company, one of the last ones in Los Angeles. Actually, they're this amazing varsity jacket company that's been around for like 3 generations. Those turned out really well. And I got one to Jim Lovell too, and that was a real special sort of a Christmas gift. So I hope everyone had a nice holiday, that their January is going well. We're about to have a big snowstorm here on the East Coast tonight into tomorrow. And it's a balmy 19 degrees right now here outside of Philadelphia. So it's been quite an interesting winter thus far. All right, folks. I might do another one of these a lot sooner than 6 or 8 months later. Like I said, I have a new setup. Things have kind of stabilized with projects and other stuff that we're doing, and it's nice to get back to doing this. We'll do a show and tell and some other stuff that's going on, and then just shoot the shit if anybody's interested. I'm just looking at comments now. Jack, thank you so much. Always a pleasure to help out the community in any way we can. Of course, that's what it's all for. And Jesse, I hope to see you up here very soon. That'd be awesome to see you again. It's been a while. I'm going to have a couple more non-alcoholic beers. And I made a nice warm chicken soup for us because tomorrow is going to be cold, snowy and cold. And get some other work done and everything. Maybe we'll do another live stream this weekend. Who knows? Post some topics. If there's anything you want to see, if there's anything you want me to talk about, anything, product questions or suggestions or movies you want me to review, whatever. Oh, Masters of the Air is coming out next week or in 2 weeks. I think it's on the 29th. I'm really looking forward to Masters of the Air on Apple TV, I believe. And it's basically the Band of Brothers, and Band of Brothers, Pacific, Saving Private Ryan. They're all made by the same company. This is the miniseries about the 8th Air Force, or at least the Army Air Forces during World War II. Whereas Band of Brothers about the Airborne, 101st Airborne. Pacific was about the Marines over in the Pacific, World War II. This one's about what they did over the air. Masters of the Air. Should be awesome. Thanks, everybody. Really appreciate everybody's time, and hopefully this worked. I hope you guys like the setup here. Pick the colors that you want in the background. Apparently I can change the colors. But it looks cool. Doesn't that look? It looks kind of like influencer set. All right, everyone, have a good one. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.